Great Debaters Contest is brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.
Karibuni watazamaji katika kipindi chetu cha mjadala. This is the Great Debaters Contest. I am Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. The stage is set for 6 ladies to go down to debate for us today. We have the lovely ladies of Coulson and those of Marymount debating on whether limiting immigration numbers will end xenophobia. We'll let the debaters take the stage now. Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Mgeni hawezi kuona mwezi. So you cannot tell me that an immigrant from another country will see the gold that a native has failed to see. I stand to strongly propose the motion limiting immigration numbers will end xenophobia. Now, what is immigration? Immigration is moving from your country to settle in a country that is not your own. And that takes me, what is xenophobia? Xenophobia is a persistent, abnormal, and unwarranted fear for strangers, foreigners, and people who are significantly different from oneself. In fact, some even say it is a serious mental illness. My name is Lona Wanjiku Njenga from Marymount Secondary School. Now, why should immigrants be limited? The first reason is their effects to our economy. Now, you see, foreigners tend to take our economy down. You may not believe this, but it is true. When these foreigners come to our country, they invest in businesses, which is quite good, but then they end up getting profits. But tell me, do you think these profits are used to develop our magnificent nation, Kenya? No. These profits are shipped back to their countries, and we are left as a poor nation. I am not trying to say that immigrants should be kicked out of the country. My point is simply we should just limit their numbers. For instance, if they're few in number, it is the only way we can develop ourselves. Look at a company like Safaricom, a great icon, not just in Kenya, but globally. Why? Safaricom is run by a foreigner, but most employees are Kenyans. So immigrants should be limited in number, but they should be allowed to come in, but their numbers should be limited. If at all, we have to make a step forward. Now, journey with me to my second conviction, stratification in the society. Foreigners have caused a lot of division in the society. I am talking of divisions based on social classes. Yes, they have done it. Now, for instance, there was this hotel that was opened in Nairobi specifically for the Chinese alone. It does not matter that we are the people who live in Kenya. This hotel belongs to the Chinese. It does not matter that if I go to that hotel, I can pay the same amount of money for a hot dog as that Chinese. Lack of this Chinese blood limits me entry into that hotel. Why should you do this to me? No, the moment you choose to do this to me, you have already discriminated me. You have degraded me. You have left me below the class line I am supposed to be in. And what do you expect is the end result of this? I will be angry, and this anger will breed into hatred, and this hatred will breed into xenophobia because just of an immigrant. So I stand to say that immigrants are the reason as to why we have xenophobia. They have caused more harm than good. So join us so that we can support the limiting of immigrants' numbers. Thank you.
Opening remarks from the opposition, you have 3 minutes.
Limiting immigration will end xenophobia. When you talk about limiting, what do you mean about that? Limiting is controlling the number of something. In the case of immigration, it's moving to a country to live there permanently. In the case of ending, it's coming to a final point of something, and xenophobia is the unreasoned fear towards something. In this case, I'm talking about controlling immigration will end xenophobia, which I strongly oppose. From Coulson Girls, it's Julia Chepkemboi. I'd like first to counter my opponent by saying she has said that immigration will lead to division of people. But can you just sit down and think, will really immigration lead to division according to classes? Right now in Kenya, there are those people who are poor and there are those who are rich. Does it mean that the immigrants are the people who are leading us to divide amongst ourselves? I'll say no. The second thing that she said that it affects our economy, as in it brings our economy down. I like to say that. Do you think that's true? Because those immigrants, most of them, they come to Kenya as refugees. When they come here, they find work. When they work, they pay taxes to the government, which means that they promote our economy. It doesn't mean that they degrade our economy. So, on to my first point, I'd just like to say, can you just sit down and think? When we talk about xenophobia, do you think it's about immigrants, really? I'll say it's not about immigrants, because look at this. Right now, I've said that xenophobia is the unreasoned fear. Don't you think it starts with the psychology? What you think yourself that I fear that person because of this and this and this. So it starts with the individual itself, herself or himself. It doesn't start with the immigrants. So associating the immigrants in this case will not end xenophobia. What you're supposed to do first is just remove that psychology from our heart that the immigrants are coming to do something wrong to our country. But can we just understand what they want to, can we just understand their culture and understand what they come to do here into our country? Most of them, they come to our country because of wars and something of the sort. Now, when they come because of war, they don't have money, that's true. They'll do anything to get a job, that's true. So, if they'll do anything to get a job, you can be able to remove cheap labor from them. That is, they'll be able to get a job through cheap labor, which a Kenyan person will not agree, because sincerely, how can you go and work for maybe 20 shillings and you know that I can go home and get food? That immigrant will go and work for that 20 shillings, which you know that she'll be able to get food. I as a Kenyan, I'll think that, oh no, I'll be swallowing my pride, and I do not want that. So please, it's us as Kenyans who brings xenophobia. It's not the immigrants. Thank you.
We'll now hear cross-examinations. Proposers, you have 3 minutes.
60. This is the number of people who were killed in South Africa during the xenophobia attacks in 2008. And as I stand here today, 2015, 8 people were killed and hundreds more injured during the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. But if South Africa had earlier limited the number of immigrants in their country, would we be having such deaths? Based on these statistics, I, Anwan Jerry from Marymount Secondary School, stand here to strongly propose the motion limiting immigration numbers will end xenophobia. But before I get to my points, I'd like to object my friend when she talked about the social stratification. When an immigrant comes into my country and takes my job, when he makes profit while I make when I make nothing, when he makes profit when I make an empty stomach, is that not social stratification? And when she said that it lies in the individual's mentality, does it mean that when I open up my boundaries to immigrants, xenophobia will end? If it is in the mind, then I do not think by opening it we can change. Now, on to my first point, environmental degradation. I hate to change the mood in the room, but I have to bring you back in time during the Owino Uhuru saga. Mothers, fathers, sons were poisoned by the lead. Now, I don't know if you know the impact of lead poisoning, but if you do know how much effect it can cause to a human being, then you will not blame me for being xenophobic. You will not blame me for hating immigrants who come into my country and establish businesses which kill me. This point takes me on to my second, which is increase in insecurity. Yes, immigrants increase insecurity. No need to think far, just come back here to Kenya. No offense to the Somalis, but Al-Shabaab of Somali origin, we let them into our country. But what have they done? They have turned against us. They are now killing us. So you cannot blame me for being insecure. You cannot blame me for seeing them as a threat. You cannot blame me for being xenophobic, because they have come, they have killed us, but they have come, they have killed us, they have even managed to plant the xenophobic roots among us Kenyans. But I believe that they shall not conquer unless immigration is limited, because if we limit immigration, we shall be able to know and monitor the activities that such immigrants are doing. This takes me on to my third point, which is growth in the black market. Now, we all know some of the products which are dealt with in the black market. For example, ivory. When an immigrant comes into my country with ill intentions of perhaps poaching my animal, then this will increase the black market in our country and nurture activities like poaching. So you won't blame me for hating them, because my kid will not be able to get to see an elephant in future. You won't blame me for wanting to limit them, because if I limit them, I shall be saving my pride, my animals. Thank you.
Opposition, time for your rebuttal. You have 3 minutes.
Wangoi Fatuma from Coulson Girls. Let me ask you, don't you think that you benefit from the immigrants? Look at, for example, the Isli. It's based on Somalis. What do Somalis help us with? They sell us cheap goods, of which people from the slums, like actually everybody benefits from it. Let's look at the people from the slums, the Kibra, the Madare, and also the Huruma people. When they get the cheap goods, when they benefit themselves, let's look at the social biological issues. Let's think like Kenyans. We always say that Kenyans for Kenyans. This already tells us that we support our own. Where do xenophobia start from? Where? Let's look at it like this. I am an employer, and you are an employee. You've come to seek for a job. Several of you, and I know one of you. Maybe we came from one background, we used to school together, and I know you. Obvious. Even if you don't have the qualifications, I'll employ you. I know you. That's where I think the xenophobia starts from us. We are the ones who start xenophobia, not the immigrants. We are the ones who are. How can you employ somebody who you know? Somebody who you know, and yet he or she doesn't have the qualifications. Yet there's somebody there who has every qualifications for that job. And also, speaking of scapegoats, why are you people lying? Talking of the immigrants, you are telling us, yes, I've not denied, but you are telling us that the immigrants yes, they're the ones who bring terrorism. But let's look at Kenyans. Let's look at Kenyans. Like that one for the Lamu people. How many Kenyans were the ones who were shot? Kenyans were the ones who were shot. They are the ones who are telling us that Kenyans, seriously, these Kenyans, they are the ones who are encouraging this terrorism. They are the ones who are recruited in the Al-Shabaab thing. Also, as we can see, the Americans, themselves, they are 4 times higher than those people, than the immigrants who are in prison, rather than the others. As in, what I'm trying to mean is the Americans, those who are in prison, their rate is higher than the immigrants. They are the ones who are inside the prisons more than the immigrants. Talking of economical issues, I want to say, getting in, the immigrants who are getting in, we are benefiting more from them rather than them benefiting from us. Like for the US, from the United States of America, we benefit $150 million from them, and they are taking, and it is very expensive to bring them out. 26 trillion is a lot. I think we are the ones who are benefiting from them, from the immigrants, not them benefiting from us. So please answer that. Thank you.
One thing I like to say about M-Pesa, it's been the most convenient for me. My grandma, she tends to get sick so oftenly, so we have to keep sending cash to her, and we use M-Pesa. I'm proud.
Take part in the M Challenge by sending your short song, rap, or poem about Safaricom M-Pesa on WhatsApp, and you could win 1,000 shillings in Safaricom airtime.
The proposition has been asked how immigrants have a negative impact on our economy. And of course, the opposition have been asked how xenophobia is brought about by employing people who lack qualifications, who happen to be immigrants. Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. So first, they tax the common mwananchi who has a low income generating job. They tax an immigrant who makes billions in terms of profit. Now, does the immigrant still go with a greater profit? The answer is yes, he does. Now, first, I want to really emphasize on cheap goods, as was said by one of the opposers. When you sell me cheap goods, they are cheap counterfeit goods. Now, we have seen this happening in Kenya. Just recently, some phones were switched off because they were counterfeit. Now, how do you glorify selling counterfeit goods? Secondly, if we are benefiting from these immigrants, why are we still asking for aids to help people in our country? That simply beats logic. Allow me to say that I am one disturbed Kenyan native because I feel we have a right to be xenophobic, parents especially. Now take a look at this. The Kenyan coast is filled with immigrants who are corrupting the morals of our young people, Africa's and Kenya's greatest resource. Now, the last time I checked, dog was man's best friend. Now, what changed him to man's sexual partner? We saw our girls being led to participating in sexual activities, and whom by? By the immigrants. Now, if I limit the number of immigrants coming to my country, I definitely limit the number of people whose morals are corrupted, and I definitely limit hatred towards those people who cause this moral degradation. On to my second point, there is rampant spread of diseases. Now, let us understand that we're talking of spread and not cause. Take Ebola, for example. If I allow immigrants to come into my country and they have fled from a country suffering from Ebola, do I not risk the lives of the natives in the country? Do I not? A country like Botswana is suffering because immigrants have come. They have spread HIV/AIDS, and right now the population of those with HIV/AIDS is actually higher than that of those who do not have HIV/AIDS. Now, I'm not saying having HIV/AIDS is the end of life, but it is the reduction of our ability to be properly equipped to build our society. Kindly think over these points. It is important that we limit the number of immigrants into the country. Wamata Moreo from Marymount. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
Mwachamila si mtumwa. I would like to counter what my third opponent have said, that Ebola has, when we control the number of immigrants coming to our country, will reduce Ebola. Let me tell you that Ebola cannot, that we ourselves can be able to control that Ebola. I would like to oppose this by saying that the immigrants who come into our country are able to benefit us economically. They increase the economic activities. How? Like the Isli issue, where they provide us with cheap goods. Then, after that, They provide us, they raise our economic status. After that, we gain the economy that is generated is more and is circulated in our country, hence increasing our GDP. Also, they increase the collection of revenue is more compared when we control the number of immigrants coming into our country. I don't think the collection of revenue will increase. It will continue to go down. Other than controlling immigration, we can have other solutions other than controlling immigration, one of them being education. Let's look at this situation where all schools have been established, this policy of where all schools should pay 53,000 per year. Isn't that controlling the xenophobic issue in our country? It is, and also enforcing laws in our country. The government has enforced some of the laws, one of them being the public policies, the Nyumba Kumi initiative. The people who are living there are the ones who should know the people who are coming who are illegally migrating to their country and coming to interrupt the way they are continuing with their activities. Also, they can break the political differences. Look at this incident where Honorable Isaac Maura came with her wife to show off to who came to the Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta to show her wife to her. Yet Honorable Ruto is from ODM and Uhuru is from Jubilee. So meaning that it will reduce the political differences. Thank you.
We'll now hear closing submissions. Proposers, you have 1 minute.
You see, it's really funny how food can be used to solve every single problem. Now, just take a look at this. We can make omelette without breaking eggs. We can make omelette without breaking a single egg. Now, in the same way, we cannot end xenophobia without limiting the number of immigrants. We cannot make omelette without breaking eggs. Thank you.
Opposition, time for your closing remarks. You have 1 minute.
Okay, let's be realistic over here. It's this way. You say that if we reduce the number of immigrants coming to Kenya, we'll be able to solve this xenophobia issue. But let's be realistic. If right now we try and start that immigration process, as in if we try deporting people to their country, it means that we lose a lot of funds than if we would have let them stay in our country. Look at this. In the US, there was this research that was done. The immigrants in the country, they would earn the government 150 million as the revenue. And if they would have decided on deporting them back to the country, it would have costed them 2.6 million, leaving alone the deportation fee. Now imagine about that. Let's be realistic over here. Let's allow the immigrants to come to Kenya, but let's educate the Kenyans to accept the culture of the immigrants, and let's all live peacefully. Thank you.
To Marymount, I must say that I'm very impressed by your teamwork all across the board. That was very well executed. Lorna, I love the examples you start with when you mentioned the social stratification and the rest. Of course, it was cross-examined at some point, but I think that was good summations that you did. Very confident, and I love your eye contact as well. That was excellent. You know, you come across as a very good cross-examiner. Good role-playing, talk of mastery of language, passion, conviction, and the rest. That was excellent of you as a second speaker. Wamata as well. Excellent speaker as well. Great debater to speak. Good cross-examination. You know, you answered questions, you cross-examined, and you also added more points and submissions to your team.
The opposing team, Juliet, you're very confident and eloquent. You did a good job in cross-examination. But for Juliet and Fatuma, what I realized is, I don't know whether you didn't write your points down or you worked so much on cramming the points, because both of you, when you got on stage, you forgot. So write your points so that you don't get nervous and you forget what you want to tell us, so that you can think through carefully and everything can come out well. So use an outline. Esther, I think you appeared a bit reserved. Let's see more energy so that you can also work on a more logical progression of ideas through your organization. All right, so let's see more energy. All the best, guys.
Quick to address Marymount. It's interesting listening to you, and Lorna and Wamata. The problem is I cannot tell you apart. You know, the passion and the knowledge that is in Lorna is also reflected in Anne, is equally reflected in Wamata. I mean, I love the voices of the three of you, and I love the teamwork that is exhibited by the three of you. I can comfortably tell you that one person cannot win a debate, but a team definitely will win a debate. And one of the benefits of a debate is to encourage teamwork, and you have done it, actually. Coulson girls, the problem here is one, teamwork. Two, mastery of topic. There was a bit of a challenge. And three, not playing your roles. You know, Juliet, your role is, as a first speaker, is building a case, but you started by offering rebuttal. That is not really a responsibility. It's supposed to be the responsibility of Fatma, who is supposed to challenge what the opponents have said.
The lovely ladies of Coulson girls, the judges awarded you 60%. Give them a hand, audience. Yes. Marymount, very high score. The judges gave you 74.2%, making you the winners.
Congratulations to Marymount and to Coulson girls. I'll give you a quote from Marymount. You cannot make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. Therefore, we'd like to thank Safaricom M-Pesa and KBC Channel 1 and urge members of the audience and our viewers back home, please follow us on Twitter at Great Debaters EA. I am Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bashar. We'll see you next time.
The Great Debaters Contest was brought to you by Safaricom M-Pesa.